WikiAfrica Hour, where Africa's Wikimedians talk to, learn from, and discuss with each other topics they choose. Each session is curated by African Wikimedians to expand Africa's open movement. Today's host is Cecilus Obanyaya.
Hello, lovers of free knowledge. I'm glad to welcome you all to episode 13 of WikiAfrica Hour, titled AfroGLAM. As some of us already know, or if you don't know, GLAM stands for galleries, libraries, archives, and museums. This episode is in celebration of the Africa Month, which was throughout the month of May. By discussing and celebrating some of the GLAM initiatives that help to document, promote, and preserve African culture and heritage. I'm Cecilus Obanyaya, your host. Some of us are of the opinion that GLAM projects in Africa are as old as the first generation of Africans to walk the surface of the continent. From folk tales passed down from generation to generation to culture and traditions handed down from our ancestors, etc. But something was surely missing, a digital platform, a digital form of documentation, as all of our ancestors could do then was just the human interface of documentation and transmission. To discuss these digital GLAM initiatives, we have invited some very special guests from African librarian working with the African Library and Information Associations, AfLIA. She is also otherwise known as Nkem Osuigwe. There is also our guest, Nassima Chahboun from Wiki World Heritage User Group. And there is also Ngozi Osadebe from the Art and Feminism Group. Ladies and gentlemen, it might interest you to know that Nkem Osuigwe is an African librarian who works with AfLIA, and she is from Nigeria. She is currently the director of training at AfLIA. Nassima Chahboun, on the other hand, is an architect. She is the chair and co-founder of the Wiki World Heritage User Group. Nassima is from Morocco. She is also the founder of WikiKsour project, a project aiming to document traditional villages called Ksour of the Maghreb region on Wikipedia, Wikimedia Commons, and Wikidata. Its territorial scope includes 5 countries actually: Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Libya, and Mauritania. And it might also interest you to know that Ngozi Osadebe herself is also a librarian. She works at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Library, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, UNN, as a principal librarian. She is an experienced facilitator and organizer of the Art and Feminism campaigns. Ngozi, of course, is from Nigeria. Please welcome these special guests as we engage them, starting with Nkem Osuigwe from AfLIA.
Thank you very much, Cecilus. Thank you for the introduction. Like you said, I am Nkem Osuigwe, and people always ask me, what does Nkem mean? I mean, is that the total name? Is that the full name? And I tell them that my name is really Nkem Delem. Mine, what is mine, belongs to me, not to any other person. So I am Nkem Osuigwe. I am a librarian, and I work for AfLIA, as has been explained. I'm glad to be here this evening. Thank you very much, Cecilus.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine, and that's a very symbolic name. As an Igbo man myself, I can bet that there are stories that are surrounding that name. But today we are not going to be talking about the name Nkem. Like I mentioned earlier, Africans managed to pass down the generational, knowledge and what have you, what they felt should be preserved way before libraries or other advanced form of documentations came to light. How has the existence of libraries changed or enhanced the practice of recording Africa's knowledge? And at what point did it become important to have an organization like AfLIA? Okay.
Thank you very much, Seslos. Everybody knows that Africans, all this while, long time ago, we had our oral traditions. You know, it was the way of passing down information, knowledge from one generation to the another. But again, you know, because nothing is change is the only thing that is steadfast. Everything changes with time, with education. Even before the white people came, in the place I come from in Nigeria, we had this what we call the Nsimbidi writings. That is not the alphabet, the numbers. They are not European based at all. So with time, people started writing. Then the whites came, you know, brought in English, French, Portuguese, and so on. And we continued to also learn from there. Now, culture is necessary in our lives. And the first place actually to assess it should be the libraries, because everything is there. Records of man from one generation to the other. So libraries have always been right there in the midst of culture. Then when we began to write and to speak English and other languages outside of our African languages, outside of our local ways of writing, like I had said, we had the Nsimbidi and so on in when these other new things came in, it now became necessary to think about how do we add these things we already know into the global body of knowledge. How do we open it up so that others too can know what we know, have an insight into who we are, understand our culture? And that, again, that's where libraries play a prominent role, because our knowledge, everything, you know, are all inside there, recorded in books, in other formats. There are some libraries that have audio tapes and so on. And then you also asked an interesting question. You asked at what point did it become important to have an organization like AfLIA? Everybody knows that, you know, there's AfLIA, that's the global body of librarians. But for Africa, we found out that what's happening in a place like Australia, what's happening in a place like New Zealand, what's happening in a place like India is not really what's happening in Africa, because people are different. We are all the same, but we are still different. And in order to step down trainings, in order to step down advocacy, in order to step down knowledge about how to get best practices, it was now, you know, people now said, please, let's have an organization just for Africa. But it may interest you to know that AfLIA too is a member of IFLA. So it's not as if it's an outside thing or anything like that. We are also there because we belong to that global body. But we notice that there's really need for Africans to now think, what is it in Africa that I can do in this way or that way to make better? And also in thinking of that, let me bring in something that we've been pursuing in Africa. This open educational resources, because we also saw that in thinking about having an African association organization for the library sector, there's also need to think of the fact that there's need to decolonize content so that whoever you are, whether you're Hausa, whether you speak Kiswahili, whether you speak Luganda, that libraries will have content for you in your language. And that's what we've been doing. We've gone quite a long way on that, and we hope to continue. Like if you go to a site like Storyweaver, we have a digital library there for storybooks for children in different African languages. The last time I checked, quite a number of people have translated books there into their local languages, because we say people need to read, not just in English or French or other languages, but also in their local languages. Thank you. I hope I answered you, Ceslos.
Oh, you actually more than answered it. I mean, throwing us all the way down from AfLIA to establish the reasons behind which AfLIA was formed. It's interesting because it cannot be a one-size-fits-all approach for the respective librarians in respective regions. Thank you so much, Nkem, for that explanation. And moving to the next question, Nkem, you recently was a guest on the episode 4 of the Wiki Loves Women Inspiring Open podcast. And during the episode, you said libraries are Africa's future. Please help us understand why you made that statement.
You caught that, really? Well, see, right now in this 21st century, everybody knows that knowledge is the key driver for sustainable development. And libraries enable access to knowledge. Not just that, they bridge the gap between the haves and have-nots. They bridge the gaps for people that do not have skills to gain skills in order to be a part of the digital world. Now, why did I say is the future of Africa? In Africa, we still have communities where the library is the only place where you could get either free or cheap internet. In Africa, we still have places where children can only access textbooks just only from the library in their schools, in their communities. In Africa, we still have institutions of higher learning where people attend and they can't afford to buy textbooks, except they use the ones in the library. When you look at all that, and you find also, okay, now another example, you see that let's say you went to school in the 1990s or 1980s and you didn't learn how to use the computer or internet and do things. It's in the library that you can still have the space and the time, the devices, and the connection, internet I mean, to learn, even as somebody that is already in that is already working somewhere. So that's why I said that when you see, when people think that, oh, libraries are only if you have exams you go and read, oh, okay, library, okay, they have old books. You may be surprised when you go there and you find out that the access that you need to articles, to research, to knowledge, for you to create, for you to learn, for you to innovate, are all there in the library. You know, we are used to the idea of the library as a physical space, but the library has gone far, 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 far beyond that. And that is why I say that it's the future of Africa. Again, you see, let me tell you something that I find interesting about the library, not just because I'm a librarian. Now, when you get into a library, there are books from everybody. There are books from everywhere. There are books on all shades of opinions. There are books on every perspective, irrespective of who you are, what you think, or what you think that you know. That's libraries promote inclusivity, that otherness, that there are other people different from you. And for Africa to grow, in quote, to move into the future as it is expected, everybody has to understand that I believe in this, you believe in that, but we are still one. And the libraries help in doing that. Also now in this era of fake news, WhatsApp, messages that are real, that are fake, that are just there, out there, without any basis. Libraries help people to have that skill of critical thinking, because everything is all there for you to now say, this is that, but there's also this, that is also that. I don't know if I'm making sense, but the library is that sure pathway for people to learn, gain knowledge, innovate, create, understand other people, and really move into the 21st century while not letting go of what has been in the past.
Oh, I'm afraid her network might have frozen, but she was really spot on, making some very key points. I was opportune to attend one of AfLIA's webinars, and someone point blank said that library is a time machine. And what Nkem was just saying actually reiterates that fact. And let's hope she gets to come back. But then we would have to move on to Nassima. Hello, Nassima, while we wait for Nkem to come back.
Hello,
Oh,
Sislam.
nice.
Thank you very much for this invitation.
The pleasure is always ours. Please make a brief introduction of yourself.
Okay, so your introduction was quite encompassing, but I will rephrase it. So I'm Nassima. I'm an architect from Morocco and a Wikimedian. And actually, since I began my Wikimedian journey in 2018, I became literally a citizen of the world. So I consider myself more African, and I have deepened my roots all over the world and not just in Morocco. And that's why I founded Wiki World Heritage, which has an international scope and aims to promote and document world heritage worldwide and not only in my country. So indeed, I started with WikiKsour and also another project called Medina Stories, where I tried to explore the possibilities that the Wikimedia projects and platforms could provide to an architect in order to document heritage. And following the same approach of these two projects, we founded Wiki World Heritage, and we continued in documenting all forms of heritage worldwide.
Thank you, Nassima, for that very digested introduction. Nassima, some of us we have the opinion that Wiki Loves Monument is all that exists in the movement with regards to documenting heritage. For the interest of those who are not aware, Wiki Loves Monuments is a public international photo competition around cultural heritage monuments organized by Wikimedia chapters and groups. Nassima, what were the reasons for founding the Wiki World Heritage User Group beyond what you just said? And what year was it founded?
Thank you very much for this question. Actually, Wiki World Heritage was founded in 2020. And we founded it for two main reasons. First of all, Wiki Loves Monuments, for example, is organized by the existing Wikimedia affiliates. Therefore, all the countries that do not have local user groups are left behind from this competition. And there are many in Africa, for example. So our first goal was to focus on countries without Wikimedia affiliates in order to fill the gap between them and the countries that are present in the Wikimedia movement. And the other reason is that even among the Wikimedia affiliates, some affiliates may not have enough time or enough passion for heritage in order to focus on it. So not all the user groups organize Wiki Loves Monuments yearly. And sometimes in Wiki Loves Monuments, we find that some content is repeated year over year. So with a dedicated thematic affiliate, we would like to encourage the user groups to take more interest in heritage, to focus and cover the countries that are not yet having their own affiliates, and also to explore other types of heritage besides monuments, because we have also intangible heritage, natural heritage, we have also documents that are part of the memory of the world, etc.
Thank you for that explanation. Yes, I could agree that having, let's say, Wiki World Heritage User Group sort of amplifies the engagement around contents related to heritage. Nkem, welcome back. It's good to have you back. Nassima will be back to you with our next
Sure.
question. While we throw the next question for Nkem. Hello, Nkem, are you there?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. And the next question I was going to ask before you went off was the first item on AfLIA's values says
Hello.
professionalism and inclusivity. Can you hear us? Oh, Nkem is gone again. Okay, while we wait for her to reconnect, Nassima, perhaps you can take the next question we have for you. And this particular question, when I came about the question, it was really funny, Nassima. And the question is, we would like to know if there is a difference uh, between a monument and a heritage. For some weird reason, I think an architect would know and be able to tell us.
This is a very interesting question, actually, because many people have a confusion on this regard. But there is a huge difference between monuments and heritage. Actually, monument is about the function, because it is a structure that is built to commemorate a person or an event, for example. But heritage is about time. It is about the historical value of of a building, a structure, or sometimes a practice, an art, maybe a natural environment. So it doesn't include just the built structures. So it's more expanded in scope than monuments. And a monument can be a new structure, a newly created structure. Therefore, it cannot be considered as heritage. It's not necessarily heritage. But heritage might include, among others, the monuments that are that exist in countries. And in order to explain more, I will give you some tangible examples, because I know it's a very confusing relationship between monuments and heritage. For example, if we have a parliament building that was built in a country in 2021, it is a monument because it is a symbolic building in the country, but it doesn't have this historical value yet to be considered as heritage. On the other hand, the small houses in Stone Town in Zanzibar, for example, are heritage, even though they are not big or symbolic as monuments, because they have this historical value and this know-how and this history behind them. So this is the main importance. And we should not forget that heritage includes as well all the forms of arts, of oral history, also of the peculiar natural environments that exist in a given country or a given place. So this is the main difference between monuments and heritage.
That's interesting. I was personally always confused about the difference, but now that you've thrown more light to it, it's a bit clearer, and I know our audience they've also gotten a glimpse of the respective differences between a monument and a heritage. Thank you so much, Nassima. Nkem, are you back?
Yes, I'm back now. I hope
Okay.
I continue. Yeah.
Yes, of course. We'll be moving on to your next question before we give Nassima her next one. I was going to ask that one of the items on AfLIA's values, it says professionalism and inclusivity. Talking about inclusivity in somewhere like Africa is a very big deal, if I must say. How does a body like AfLIA ensure this inclusivity is achieved? Oof, that's so sad. That's so sad. Okay, Nassima, we'll just
Can you hear me
move
now?
to the next question we have for you before.
I think Nkem is here.
Oh, Nkem, are you back? Oh, I think she's one leg in and one leg out. So, Nassima, you might as well address the next question we have for you. And it says, I understand that Wiki World Heritage that group has two pilots projects. I hope I pronounce it right, WikiKsour and Told Cities. What, when were these projects launched? Please share with us what these projects are about, Nassima.
Actually, the first project is WikiKsour. It is in Arabic because Qsour means the traditional villages in the Maghreb region. And the second project is Medina Stories, and it is also about the Maghreb region. And actually, the story behind these two projects is that before joining the Wikimedia movement, I was working a lot as a volunteer architect or a volunteer construction worker in heritage rehabilitation projects. And then I realized that the availability of information about any heritage sites is the key to the success of any initiative about these sites. And that's why I joined the movement. In Morocco, the Qsour, the traditional villages, are a very interesting component in our heritage, but they are not well covered, and the content about them on internet was quite scarce. So that's why I launched WikiKsour in the beginning as a personal project. When I was new to the movement, I launched it in the beginning of 2019. And they started documenting the Qsour of Morocco on Wikipedia and Wikidata mainly. And then when I presented the project in the different Wikimedia conferences, I found interested volunteers from Tunisia and Algeria who joined the project and started documenting their own villages. And this was the first step towards creating something bigger because I wasn't alone anymore, and I made new connections with people who are as interested in heritage as I am. Then, in parallel of WikiKsour, I was part of a forum organized by UNESCO, and we were asked to develop a project about heritage in our country or our region. So I developed Medina Stories, which was about the cities in the Maghreb region that are listed as World Heritage. And of course, I used Wikipedia, Wikimedia Commons, and Wikidata in order to document these cities. And from the content generated from Wikidata and Wikimedia Commons and Wikipedia, we created a web application about these cities that has a more light content and more playful content, and it was always connected to Wikipedia. So from these two projects that I implemented in collaboration with other interested Wikimedians that have this passion for heritage, we thought about expanding the scope of our work, especially when we discovered that UNESCO World Heritage is still underdocumented, especially in Africa and in other regions where there are not a lot of Wikimedia affiliates. So we started thinking about an approach that will allow us to document World Heritage sites in other countries without being the ones that, without owning others' heritage. We wanted that people from these countries contribute to the documentation of their own heritage. So what we did is that we, first of all, we created the user group, and then we followed a collaborative approach. We always collaborate with local NGOs from the target countries in order to implement our projects. And we follow capacity building approach. We always organize, for example, Wikipedia training of trainers to volunteers from these countries. So by the end of this training, they become able to organize themselves a writing workshop in their country. And in this way, there are people from the country who are leading the activities to document their heritage. And last year, we implemented 2 projects, WHindanger, about World Heritage Sites in Danger, and Told Cities, that was the continuity of Medina Stories and WikiKsour, because Medina Stories and WikiKsour are about urban fabrics that are listed as World Heritage. And the goal was to document the components and the buildings of these fabrics. So Told Cities was about the same scope. We focus on cities listed as World Heritage, and we try to document all the buildings, the areas, and also the people coming from these cities in order to have an encompassive and a holistic content. So this is the story behind the creation of Wiki World Heritage. We had some experience in documenting heritage in our countries, and we wanted to expand it and to share it with people from countries that were still left behind in the Wikimedia movement.
This is awesome, Nassima. I mean, you handing the capability to locals to be part of these content creation around the respective heritage that they have in their regions or in their locations. That's really interesting. I like the scope of the 2 projects, namely the Told Cities and the WikiKsour. It's personally an interesting project when I learned about it. And to further ask Nassima, this WikiKsour and Told Cities, they are projects I personally feel should touch every corner of the African continent, owing to the fact that they are very rich heritage that could be easily found on the African continent. What's the plan beyond the pilot stages?
Actually, WikiKsour was the pilot project that is still continuing. But as I said earlier, it developed to become Told Cities that has a more international scope, and where we are trying to target different countries in Africa and also worldwide, especially the countries that are without affiliates. And actually, for example, last year, we implemented a project in Libya that still doesn't have a local affiliate. We collaborated with a heritage-focused NGO in the country, and we could implement several activities ranging from Wikipedia, editathons, and trainings to Wikidata, to Wikimedia Commons, etc. And we could cover 5 sites in Libya. This year, we are focusing on Ethiopia and Senegal that also don't have local affiliates. So we launched collaborations with local NGOs in the 2 countries. And our target is to continue this process of looking for heritage-focused NGOs in the countries and building some small communities in these countries from by participating in our projects. Because by the end of the project, they acquire abilities and capacities and know-how, which is more important than just participating in an editathon or in a photography contest. And in this way, they will be able to launch themselves more activities. And this is our aim, actually. And yes, and also we are trying to catalyze collaborations with heritage institutions, especially those who have a regional or international scope. And in order to do this, we are trying to give more visibility to the user group and also to the movement by launching several activities, not just these 2 projects. And for example, we were inspired by Wiki in Africa and by the WikiAfrica Hour to launch the Wiki Heritage Hour that we just started this year.
Oh, this is mind blowing. Here we are minding our business, and other people are actually catching the wind of what we're doing. And interestingly, I am glad to know that the project is spreading beyond the Maghreb region. I can't wait to hear that it's going beyond somewhere like Senegal to Benin, where even though we have already existing affiliates, this project could still make very huge impact. Well done, Nassima. That's an interesting project you just shared with us. And I actually would like to know the WHindanger and the Wikidata project. I mean, what's the relationship in all these? You've mentioned you have the WikiKsour happen on Wikipedia, and the Told Cities is probably a much more international scope. I mean, what's the need for, of course, linking all these Wikipedia, Wikicommons, and Wikidata to make this project successful, if I would ask?
Actually, we should always think about the use of the content we are creating. It is very beautiful to have articles written on Wikipedia, but the most important is to spread them and to make them reach the target audience. And actually, coming from the heritage rehabilitation background and knowing what are the needs of architects and of heritage professionals, I can say that Wikimedia platforms, if we combine them, they can provide a very interesting content that will not only promote these sites or just provide information to the large public, but also help heritage professionals in their work. And that's why we are also focusing on Wikimedia Commons and Wikidata besides Wikipedia. Because when we provide, for example, recent photos of a given site, especially when this site is endangered, and this is the aim of WHindanger. Actually, we are in WHindanger, we are targeting the World Heritage sites that are listed by the UNESCO on the danger list, which means that in few years, these sites might be lost. So if we document them in an exhaustive way on Wikimedia Commons, for example, through photos, through videos, if we provide enough information on Wikidata, we can participate in the future in restoring these sites, because if a part is lost of a given site, we will have some updated photos that exist on Wikimedia Commons and that are easily accessible to anyone. So yes, when we launch any project, we try to combine all the Wikimedia platforms in order not only to provide information and general information about these sites, but also to be useful for people who are going to use this content in order to build something up on it.
That's interesting because in the world we live in today, things like crisis, maybe wars, they've actually destroyed, heritage
Yeah.
sites. Talk about what we've seen in Ukraine and somewhere like Syria. This is an interesting work you're doing, especially the fact that you're trying to make it convenient for architects to participate in the open knowledge and all that. It's interesting, Nassima.
And allow
Well
me
done to you.
to illustrate this by a very personal experience. Actually, a few years ago, I was working in a remote area in the southern region of Morocco. And when I just joined my work, I was visiting on a personal, I was doing some personal trips to the surroundings. And during one of my trips, I took photos of a monument in a very remote city that is not well documented on internet. And I created an article with some illustrations, with old photos, etc. And like 2 or 3 years later, I had to work a project on this area. And I was looking for documentation on internet. I totally forgot that I have photos that I uploaded to Commons. And then I found a Wikipedia article that is well written and that has some very interesting and holistic photos. So I took the photos, and then I remembered that I am I am the photograph. So I ensure you that architects take a very good advantage from Wikipedia and Wikimedia Commons, and it is very useful for us.
That's an interesting real life explanation. I mean, thanks. It's a good thing that you were actually ahead of time in terms of having taken that picture to upload on Commons in
Yeah.
advance. Yeah. And my last question for you, Nassima, is I would like to ask, there is this say, or this saying I know in French. It says, En Afrique, quand, vieillard meurt, c'est une bibliothèque qui brûle. And it translates that in Africa, when an old person dies, it's a library that is lost. Uh, Looking at today's subject of discussion, what do you think about this very statement?
It is a very expressive and very accurate statement because specifically in Africa, the oral history and oral traditions are a huge part of our heritage. And the problem is that everything that is oral is not as easily verifiable as the written content. So we tend to not document it properly as when we have written documents because it is more challenging and it is not easily verifiable. And I want, this doesn't mean that it is not reliable or not correct, but just the verification process is more challenging. And that's why many parts of our African heritage are not properly documented, including languages and dialects, because we tend to not write them. So I totally agree with this statement, but I think that especially with the Wikimedia platforms and with internet in general, we have some very potent tools to make our oral history survive. For example, Wikimedia Commons is a very fascinating platform because besides photos, we can easily upload videos. So I encourage people to capture the different forms of our oral traditions and oral history in a video format and upload it to Wikimedia Commons. And in this way, it will be sustainable and it doesn't have the same restrictions as on Wikipedia because to date, we are not able to document some parts of oral history on Wikipedia because we still do not know how to verify them. But on Wikimedia Commons, we have more freedom to capture just the tradition and the heritage as it is. Yeah, so I encourage everyone to take even the smallest details in video or in photo and to enrich this repository with the different aspects and forms of our heritage.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Nassima, Chahboun. And thank you, Nkem Osuigwe, if you can hear us. It was really nice having both of you do something amazing with the responses you've given to the questions. Hopefully, someone from the audience would have a question or two for you during the Q&A. Let's proceed to our very patient guests, Ngozi Osadebe from Art and Feminism. Hello, Ngozi. Your mic is muted.
It's me?
Hello, Ngozi. Yes,
Okay.
yes, we can hear you now.
Hello.
Yeah, please, the pleasure is mine. Thank you so much. Please make a brief introduction of yourself.
Okay, thank you very much. I am Dr. Ngozi Osadebe. I work at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Library, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. I am a deputy university librarian. I believe in the capability of libraries to transform communities. And based on this belief, I organize library programs that can empower individuals and communities with the skill to end poverty, reduce inequality, fight hunger, deepen knowledge, attain good health, and even help them to fight little problems around them. In the course of my work, I work more with people with marginalized groups, such as children, youths, women, and people with disabilities. I am a volunteer librarian to 2 public primary schools in my locality here, and I organize Wikipedia activities in the university. I am also the founder of the campaign, Let's Make Wikipedia Editor Inclusive, in which we bring in people with disabilities to edit Wikipedia. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that very elaborate introduction, Ngozi. It's interesting knowing that you are actually hands-on in activism, if I would say. Moving to the next question, I always saw your footprint on the library side of things, just like you rightly mentioned during your introduction. How and when did you get involved with the Art and Feminism campaign? When did you first organize the campaign locally?
Okay, my involvement in Art and Feminism Wikipedia Editathon started in 2017 when the project was introduced to the then university librarian, Professor Nkem Osuigwe, by the then regional director of Art and Feminism West Africa, Mohammed Sadat. The librarian then, Professor Zane, called all academic doctors in the library then and asked us to go and study the project. We looked at the project. There were about 15 of us then. We looked at the project, but my colleagues couldn't see the gain in engaging in the project. For one thing, many did not see the connection between their job description and art and feminism or contributing to Wikipedia. Another reason most of them backed out was that it is of no gain. They will not use it for promotion. For them, it was like a waste of time. But I see it differently. But I saw it differently. I saw it as a way of fostering my job as a librarian. The issues of women and marginalized groups has been my problem. That's why I work more with them in all the things I do. So I saw participating in the campaign as a way of advocacy, of empowering women with digital skills, of teaching women in the campus how to do research. Because for you to contribute to Wikipedia, you must be able to read published articles, you must be able to summarize them in your own words. So I see it as a way also of encouraging them to come out and tell their own stories. Inside the library where I work, at the shelves, there are biographies of men and things men can do, but you can rarely see that of women. I took my time some time ago to look at the African Who is Who. Out of about 285 entries in African Who is Who, it's only about 6 entries that are on women. And this is marginalization of the highest order. What this entails is that what it entails is that what most women labor to do vanishes with them at death. Nobody remembers them because women don't document. Each day, a woman is faced with 2 activities. It is either work or family. She has no time for herself. She has no time even for her health, not to talk about sitting down to document. So I saw this Art and Feminism project as a way of encouraging them, as a way of equipping them with the skill to tell their stories. Apart from this, in the society where we live today, everything about science is being promoted. The arts is relegated to the background. And it is not paying off because it is from our arts, it is from our culture, it is from the way that we live that our sciences will emerge. Our sciences are supposed to emerge to tackle the problems we have in our society. But instead, we see a situation where we import or where we buy ideas from, where we imbibe from ideas from outside. And when we import these ideas, you find out that despite the huge amount of money spent in implementing them, they rarely work. And African countries still live in poverty. So I see this Art and Feminism project as a project that will help me in my community, help my country to achieve some of the Millennium Development Goals. If we do it well, if we equip our women, equip the disabled, treat our children well, you'll find that in future, there will be zero hunger or near zero hunger. Poverty will be reduced. When people learn, they deepen their knowledge. Because when people learn and then create articles on what they have learned, they master that topic. So I see this, in fact, this Art and Feminism project is now my life. I'm taking it to, that is, any height my hands can reach. I believe in it and I love it. I don't know if I have answered your question.
You have done more than answer my question, Ngozi Osadebe.
Thank you
You
very
really took
much.
your time to dissect the situation, and the very important aspect of what you do is you are going beyond the people that are already in it to get people that, let's say, are disabled involved into this. This is awesome. It's not a small feat, I must say. I mean, how do you get somebody who probably has been confined to a wheelchair to get the morale or the courage to participate in something like this? It's really a tasking job, Ngozi. Well done. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and to move to the next question, you've been very consistent with organizing and facilitating the Art and Feminism campaigns locally in Nigeria. Some might be of the opinion that maybe it's a work in progress and it's not, making as much impact locally in, let's say, somewhere like Nigeria as it should yet. What can you tell any first timer who is interested and interested in successfully organizing or trying to join the campaign locally? What must such a person do?
Okay. The first point I am concerned about in anybody that wants to organize Art and Feminism campaign is to find out if that passion to engage in that project is there. Because it is passion that drives everything. The zeal you have for a project is the zeal that will make that project to succeed. Remember that in editing Wikipedia, it is a volunteer thing. You are not paid. So it is, I always try to ensure that the people that I train, because as I train them, I expect them to go out and train others and to continue editing, are actually the people that have zeal for it. They are people that are out to volunteer. They are people that are out to carry out the project with or without payment. Of course, there is no payment. So passion, I always ask, will you be able to carry this project to the end? Remember, there is no payment. Remember, it is what you willingly decided to do. So that encouragement that you will do it out of passion is what I have for newcomers into Art and Feminism.
Interesting. I believe that's a very strong point, as passion would, of course, bring the rest of the skills along. But first, the journey we all are into, especially in the free knowledge space, it's a journey of passion. You really need passion to go the whole 9 yards. If not, you could experience burnout. That's a very interesting point, Ngozi. And the next question I have for you is this: the Art and Feminism campaign, it aims to improve coverage on trans women, amongst other things. In somewhere like Africa, we could agree that we are still struggling with embracing the LGBTQ plus community. What strategy do you people at Art and Feminism have to further drive awareness and acceptance while running your campaign, maybe?
Okay, the LGBTQ plus. Personally, I see the LGBTQ plus as one of those ideas that are imported into African countries. And they're creating confusion, and it is creating confusion. LGBTQ plus has always been part of the African society. It's not a new concept. I am an African born and bred. Within these African societies, or within my own community, if I'm to use my own community as an example, there are cases where lack of male child has forced a woman to marry another woman to raise male children for that family. There are also occasions where a lady might decide not to get married and we stay in his father's house, take titles that belong to men, attend men's meeting, and act like a man. So this LGBTQ is not new. We don't need to advocate for it. It is part of African culture, and it is covered very well in arts and feminism. When you did African culture, you don't separate the ones that are culture. It is not you that say which one is culture. African culture is African culture. And LGBTQ plus has been with us. The only thing is that, we like new names for old things. And when we give them these new names, they bloat our heads. So these things should not bloat our heads. When we advocate for African culture, already it is embedded there. We are advocating for it. We don't need new campaigns for it. And there is something that is happening now. Because of the way it is being talked about, it is like it's being imposed on us. Now, people are seeing it as an anomaly, but it has been with us. It has always been part of at least let me say, the Igbo man's culture. In the Igbo language, they will say, I will stay in my father's house and raise children for my family. And the woman will marry a woman and they will raise children. So I don't believe in Africa we need another advocacy. Art and feminism covers it very well. When we talk of African culture, it is embedded inside there. Did I make any sense?
Thank you. Yes, and you've said a lot of things that actually are giving me goosebumps. I, for one, I've witnessed the situations you just explained, where maybe an only son dies prematurely, and maybe the family goes ahead, or maybe a widow goes ahead to marry a wife, and
Yes.
together they could raise a family. I've seen this severally. It is happening in my community, even in my imminent kindred. It is happening, but never have I looked at it from the way you just explained, as it being part of the LGBTQ plus community. Thank you so much for this new knowledge. This is huge. It means a whole lot. Hearing it from this perspective, I must confess, it means a whole lot. And Ngozi, I understand this year's Art and Feminism campaign is still ongoing. How is the campaign working out so far? What do we expect by the end of this year's campaign in August?
Yeah. The campaign is still ongoing, at least at Nsukka here at that UNN where I am. This year we have had two activities. Equity Watch Initiative had their own. Equity Watch is an NGO run by a friend of mine. Then the surplus people in the university's research group just concluded their own. I can't say that it will end in this August, because two other organizations within the campus still want to see if they will organize a program. I know of the Forum for African Women Educationalists, Enugu State chapter. They have been calling me, asking how I can help them to contribute to Wikipedia. Another group, what is their name again? Another group,
it's fine if you can't remember them.
I can't remember their name, but it has to do with students orientation program, excellent students superlative campaign for excellence. They're on my neck now. They also want to have a program. So I am not sure that Art and Feminism program at Enugu State is ending within this August. It is likely to go beyond August. Yeah. Okay.
That's actually good news. I mean, hearing that there are new people that are waiting to join the campaign, especially new organizations that are probably going to be first timers at this. It's interesting. And if at any point in time you actually need, because I know Igbo Wikimedia user group, they have hubs and fan clubs across the East. If at any point in time you would maybe need extra hands, please don't hesitate to let us know. You can reach out to me personally, and I will connect you to hands that can help. Thank you so much, Ngozi. It's been interesting and it's been insightful listening to you talk about these various issues we've actually raised. We also thank Nassima and Nkem, who unfortunately couldn't stay with us for long due to her network connection. Now we move forward to the Q&A segment of the episode. If you have any question for any of the guests, please feel free to ask. Okay, Ngozi, while we're waiting for our audience to ask any of their questions, there is one here. It says the name could have simply been art alone or feminism alone, but art and feminism decided to merge the two together. That's the name art and the name feminism. Um, what is the initiative behind this name? Why was it named art and feminism?
Okay. Thank you very much. As I said before, currently in the world now, much emphasis is being laid on sciences. Children are encouraged to read sciences. So art subjects or people in arts are relegated to the background. In fact, there are prizes in many secondary schools for people reading the sciences and nothing for the arts students. Yet, arts is our culture. Art is where we started. Now, it turns out again that in editing Wikipedia articles, the people that mostly edit are men. And when these men edit, they edit the areas that interest them. They create articles for the areas that interest them. As I said before, women are too busy to engage in documentation. So you find out that areas in women are not being covered. Areas in arts are not being covered. So art and feminism is about closing the gap in documented digital knowledge in the areas of arts and feminism. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that response. That's to say, they had to put in mind the neglected aspects of art and that of feminism to come about the name. That's a very interesting combo. And for you, Nassima, how can somebody be part of the initiatives you mentioned earlier? I mean, you mentioned you were targeting heritage NGOs. How can somebody be part of this?
Actually, everyone can collaborate with user group through three ways. First of all, everyone can join as a member and be ready to work on countries other than his or her country. Then we also collaborate with user groups. In Africa, for example, we collaborated with Wikimedia Tanzania, with Wikimedia Guinea-Conakry, Ivory Coast, and we are this year collaborating with Kenya. And if there is a heritage NGO in a country without affiliate, they can reach out to us through our contact, our email that is on the Wikimedia page, in order to explore collaboration possibilities.
Thank you very much. And coming to you, Ngozi, it's been 9 years since the Art and Feminism campaign launched. What are the impacts so far? Any statistics? And what impact do you see beyond the GLAM content on Wikipedia?
Yeah, we have been able to achieve much since okay, for this year alone, we have trained about 99 new editors, and we have edited about roughly, can I say, 250 articles. Let me see if I can share my screen, because I have it in my slide. Hello?
Okay.
Can I share my screen? Okay.
Let me see if you can do that. Alternatively, you can, I don't know if it's on Google Drive, maybe you can share with us for us to project. Oh, that's very sad. She has been cut off. Oh, she has been cut off. That's very, very sad. Okay, while we wait for her to come back, Nassima, on your own side, what impact have you seen so far beyond the GLAM content on Wikipedia?
Actually, I
I'm
think that's the
finding it
best thing.
difficult to share my screen. I think something just blocked my screen sharing icon. So
okay, because what you can do, you can send to me via email the slide, then I can make it available on Commons for anybody who cares to access it, if that's okay.
Okay, I will.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Go
you
ahead,
very much.
Nassima.
Actually, beyond content creation on Wikipedia and the other platforms, I think the best thing that we are achieving is to build small communities in countries that are new to the Wikimedia movement. And I will once again talk about Libya example. Now we have about 10 volunteers in Libya who are very familiar with Wikipedia, Wikidata, and Wikimedia Commons, and who can organize activities. So this was a great achievement for us, because before that, nobody in Libya was even familiar with what is Wikimedia movement, except few editors on Wikipedia.
That makes absolute sense, especially in a country that has been ravaged by crisis over the years. Most people there will be much more bothered about sleeping and waking up the next morning than worrying about what is on Wikipedia or how to contribute contents to Wikipedia. Yeah. Okay. We thank you both, Ngozi and Nassima, for answering the questions that have been raised during the Q&A session. You've succeeded in helping us get the remaining clarity. And greater thanks to someone like Nkem, who defied our internet at least to be here with us for a short while before disappearing. We now move to the news items for today. And with me today to share the news update is my colleague from our Wiki Loves Women aspect of things, Afek Ben Shaid. Hello, Afek. Thank you for accepting to do this.
You are welcome.
Yeah, so you can take the first item on the news, Afek.
Okay. Inspiring Open Podcast has released episode 5 with Angela Lungati, the executive director of Art Ushahidi, a global non-profit tech company that helps communities quickly collect and share information that enables them to raise voices, inform decisions, and influence change. She also sits on the Creative Commons board of directors. Episode 6 is also available, featuring Islam El Beiti, the Sudanese bass guitarist who is a member of the Pan-African Innovation for Policy Foundation, supporting startups across Africa with process development, research, and pushing the reforms in startup law.
Thank you for that. And next, we congratulate the Wikimedia Community User Group Rwanda for winning the bid to host the 2022 WikiIndaba Conference, which is slated to hold from 4th to 6th November. It's going to be a hybrid event where participants will attend online and in person in Kigali, Rwanda. Over to you, Afek.
We go back, we go to Wiki Loves Earth. Wiki Loves Earth 22, an international photographic contest that focuses on natural heritage sites and landscape, is on. You can submit your entry till July 31st.
Thank you, Afek. And the second episode of WikiMove podcast has been released. The guests, Erica Azzolini and Lucas Pianta from Wiki Movimento Brazil, they talked about what they are doing to bring movement strategy to life within the Brazilian and Portuguese-speaking communities. You might learn a thing or two from them.
The Wikipedia library has new WILI, OECD, and SPIE digital library collections now available to experienced Wikimedia contributors.
And the call for candidates for 2022 Wikimedia Board of Trustees election has been ended. There are 13 candidates in all, 5 of whom are from Africa, namely Gilbert Ndiokubayo, there is Tochi Precious Friday, there is Abdurrahmani Abaka Ibrahim, there is Yoris Darlington Kwashi, and there is Egbe Eugene Agbo. Please endeavor to see the list of candidates to better know them to help you to vote for them.
The members of the Leadership Development Working Group have been announced. Gadnes Ignatios and Isaac Olatunda, both from the Nigerian community, made the list. Please get to know who they are.
And the 2 trainings provided by Wikimedia Foundation in 2021, namely building partnerships and identifying and addressing harassment online, self-guided courses. They are now available on WikiLearn platform. You can freely access these courses with your Wikimedia account.
The Wikimedia Foundation's Sound Logo Contest organizing team has shared a proposal for the Wikimedia Sound Logo Contest. It would be nice for the winner to come from Africa.
The May round of 2022 One Librarian, One Reference is on and will run until 5th June 2022. Please join to improve the reliability of Wikipedia's content for the billions of readers who rely on Wikipedia as a source of information.
And we finished with the third funding round for conference funds for events taking place in September, December 2022 is open. This condensed round will be for events already in planning. Proposal deadline is June 13, but you are encouraged to submit your proposal earlier if possible. Thank you.
And Thank you so much, Afek. And you can view all these news updates in the newsroom section of the WikiAfrica Hour meta page. Africa is so rich, but how can we show the world these riches? How can we preserve, document, and promote African culture, tradition, and heritage? How do we ensure that generations to come continue to pass down all that we are as a people? GLAM, which stands for Galleries, Libraries, Archives, and Museums, projects and initiatives, are our best bet, especially in the world of today where everything has gone digital. We've heard from our special guests from AfLIA, from Wiki World Heritage User Group, and Art and Feminism. We've learned about how they do what they do to effectively document and preserve the African culture, tradition, and heritage. I hereby call on all of us to get actively involved in these projects they've shared with us today. We as a people should be the heartbeat of all these GLAM projects happening across Africa. If not, what is a people without a trace? On behalf of Wiki in Africa, I say a very big thank you to you, Nassima Chahboun, and to you, Ngozi Osadebe, and to Nkem Osuigwe, who joined us earlier, for finding time in your very busy schedules to honor our invitation. I also thank our audience for finding time to show up. And I remain your host, Ceslos Ubonlaya. I wish you a very happy weekend. See you next time.
This episode of Wiki Africa Hour was hosted by Ceslos Obanaya. Let us know what topics you want to discuss and join us next month on the same channels. Subscribe to the Wiki in Africa YouTube channel and follow Wiki Africa on social media.